Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
So, this is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from loss to spirituality. So, in other words, we talk about all the things.
All the things.
All of them. Not even just
All
some
of
of
them.
them. Yes. Danielle, how are you?
I am well, thank you. And you?
Well, I'm well. I been busy. I spent. I calculated so that I could tell the pod that I spent 56 hours at church last week.
That's silly.
That's
the Bible
many
doesn't say you have
hours.
to do that, Zara.
No. I'm just dedicated to the holy house.
I'm very happy for you. It helps when you're getting paid by them, of course.
Yes.
But I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
Me, I am looking after my brothers at the moment because my parents have decided to be so fancy and go to Italy. And
I've
I'm
been
very
seeing
jealous.
these pictures and it's hard for me not to comment and say,
Is it?
why?
Right?
Why are you
It's
there?
extremely unfair. Why are you the way that you are? That's what I want to know.
I want to know why I was not asked to join.
Invited. How do you think I feel? Anyway, so that's fun. Do you think the audience wants to know about my traumatic experience?
100%. So this is not as hectic as a car crash, but I mean,
No.
it's definitely eventful,
yeah.
quite the event.
It's definitely not at all as hectic as a car crash. But if you don't know what we're talking about, go listen to the first episode of this season.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not just speaking about car crashes randomly.
No.
Anyway, so I was busy walking my dogs with my brother. And if you don't know, we have a Rottweiler and a Golden Retriever.
Hugo and Peggy.
You can follow them on Instagram. They have an Instagram account. It's
Yes.
something at Hugo dot and Peggy. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is that. Yeah, so anyway, I was walking Hugo, my Rottweiler, and we were walking around the dam. I'm not going to say which dam because you're not allowed to know where I live. And
Scandalous.
yeah. And the next thing, so Hugo, he's a friendly dog, but I mean, if a dog like goes with him or whatever, he can be a bit reactive sometimes. So I mean, we just tend to avoid other dogs entirely. So we're walking along and there was this old man with this German Shepherd. And I mean, this must have been quite a young German Shepherd, like maybe a year or so. But I mean,
A pup.
obviously, yeah, like it was a puppy. And anyway, so I was trying to steer Hugo around and like away from this man with his German Shepherd. And this German Shepherd lunges at Hugo. Hugo naturally takes the bait and like tries to go toward it. But I was like, no, Hugo, you can't do that. Anyway, I slip and Hugo literally drags me on my back on this gravel path.
I don't know how you are not more injured.
Oh my gosh. Me neither. I don't know how like my clothes didn't rip entirely. But anyway,
Oh no.
everyone was very unhelpful. The old man didn't even try to take his dog away. And I was like literally
That
on
is
the
the
ground.
worst for me. Like
There
if
was
you're
nothing I
taking your
could do.
dogs for walks, then
Yeah.
you have to control them.
Yeah. And I mean like, yeah, I've taken Hugo for walks many times, even by myself. I've taken him alone with Peggy by myself. And I've never had that problem.
You've taken both
Anyway.
the dogs by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's
have.
insane.
Peggy
I don't think you
is
should ever do that.
She is so easy to walk that it feels like she's nothing.
She's
Like
a
if you're walking both of them
cutie.
together, it's basically like you're just walking Hugo.
But that's because
Peggy's just
Hugo is
there.
like so solid. He's like,
He's so
like a very
solid.
solid of a dog.
He's a tank. So anyway, if you're the old man, I'm so sorry for like slandering you.
No, if you're the old man, I'm coming for you.
I hope your dog wasn't hurt. I couldn't even like stay to see if the dog was okay. But I think it was fine because it kept on barking at other dogs when we were walking away. So I don't know. Oh, it was very embarrassing for me.
Pathetic. That dog's
Anyway,
name
that's
is
my
probably
story.
like Dawson.
Dawson, true.
That's the vibe I'm getting.
Uh,
Alrighty,
Cool.
Danielle, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about something that is so
we
fun.
know so much about.
And that is friendship.
Friendship.
Yes.
So how did Danielle convince me to actually be her friend?
I just showed you that I knew who Birdie was and that I could play piano, and you were like, cool.
That
Sounds
was
good.
it. I needed an accompanist,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is perfect.
Exactly. And yeah, I don't know how I convinced you to be my
Yourself.
friend, or the other way around, or whatever you said. I can't remember how you worded the sentence.
It's okay. I was trying to be mean.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we just like gravitated together. You know what I'm saying? Like your vibe attracts your
The
tribe.
law of
kind
attraction.
vibe.
Yes. Funnily enough, though, that's actually what I was going to start the episode with. Not your vibe attracts your tribe, but the whole, like, you know, the idea of show me your friends and I'll show you your future kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just because friendships are like, they form a lot of the person you become. So the people you spend time with influence you a lot, especially like there's sometimes periods in your life where your friends become even more than your family, even more than your parents, especially as a teenager. If I tell a teenager something or a friend tells a teenager something, they only believe it then. If their parents told the same thing 2 months ago, then it was false.
Yeah.
So
100%.
friends have a lot of influence over you. And so it's important that you have friends and you have nice friends.
Yeah. Pick your friends wisely, people. And we're going to give
Yes.
you a 40-step guide on how to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just joking, of
Isn't
course.
there's a, who is it, Dale Carnegie wrote the book How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds
You know, I hate the title
real.
of that. I hate the title of that book. Something about it gives me bad vibes. I don't know.
It does, yeah, I
I think
get
it's the
you, but
influence
also,
people
like,
part. I
you don't
know.
have to read the blurb
I won't.
because it tells you exactly what it is.
Cool.
Like, people name their books Who Stole My Cheese. How am I supposed to know what that's about? It's not about cheese.
It's about a mouse. It's about
or
a mouse.
stealing. Anyways, so
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, what we do, and we'll probably do it with this episode, is if you go onto our YouTube, we kind of split the episode into segments. So if for some reason you do not want to listen to the whole episode, which I can't imagine would ever be the case,
Insane.
then
It's literally insane to me.
I agree. Then you can actually go and click on the section that you'd like to listen to. So just so you know, you do have that option on YouTube. I don't think we can do it on audio platforms, as far as I know.
No, what I've done before for one of the episodes, I think it was our voting episode, I just put the times in the description, but I mean, you can't click on it, but if they wanted to, they could just move the little thingy until that time. So,
Yes.
but I probably won't do that because it's a mission.
Yes.
So, sorry,
Cool.
you just have to be brave and listen.
Yes. So what we're going to be covering is different types of friends, and then different seasons in friendships, different expressions in friendships, and then
Yes.
solving conflicts. And then we did ask on the gram at in other words _podcast, follow us right now. We asked people if they had any questions, and so we'll answer those as well.
Yes. Cool.
You can
All right,
kick
shall we
us
move
off.
on to different kinds of friends?
Yes.
Okay. So we didn't discuss this beforehand, so I don't know exactly what you meant by this.
Our friendship
but
might end after this.
It might end. It might.
I might not like what you have to say.
Yes. So basically, what I think is important to note is that you're never going to have one friend for everything. You know, there's always going to be different kinds of friends at different stages of your life.
Exactly.
Friends, maybe even to do different things with.
Yes.
Yeah, you can talk to about different things. You might understand things better than other friends.
Exactly.
And that's pretty normal. And we're not I'm not trying to say necessarily that you need to have this huge friendship group with all these different types of people, because at the end of the day, it's quality over quantity. So yeah, keep that in mind. Sorry,
Yes.
you go.
I think that, that's the thing that I wanted to start off with, is just because I think in high school I struggled a little bit because I didn't know what a best friend was. And so like I found you, and then I like quickly attached myself and you were my best friend. And then I found Rachel and I'm like quickly attached myself and I was like, you are my best friend. but like I always like struggled because especially because the whole of our friendship, you've always had Devin, and so it's always been like I have Danielle, but Danielle also has Devin, and so it was weird for me I think I had false expectations about what a best friend is, and I think that largely actually has to do with TV.
Oh, 100%.
Because you watch shows and everyone has a best friend that they do
BFFs.
everything with, they tell everything to. And I think that can be a little bit misleading, because I think that it's okay to have friends for different things. It's also healthy to have friends for different things, you know?
Yeah.
I think the only friendship in your life where you might have like quite a wide crossover is like the person you probably end up dating or marrying. So I just think it's important that we have friends for different purposes. It sounds like really morbid, but like what if your friend who's your everything like passes away? Then you have no friends.
No, it's true. But also,
Yeah.
like, we'll talk about this probably during the seasons and friendships segment, but you're not always going to be as close to, like, your friends as you might be at the moment or whatever. Like, we've been through periods of our lives, like, where we weren't super close, you know? And it doesn't mean that you don't care about the person, it's just how it is.
Yes.
But my question for you is, like, what is it? It's an interview. So like we obviously know that there's going to be friends for different reasons, but how do we have those kinds of friends without, let's say, using them? Like, how do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think that a friendship is like a two-way street, you know? Like I always say that people often say, oh, but you haven't contacted me in such a long time. And I'm like, the phone goes both ways. And so I think it's important that when you have friends that you bring something to the table as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like your friend isn't your therapist solely, you know.
No,
it's not
exactly.
like you go for a 50-minute session, the other person barely says anything and then you leave. Like that's a counseling relationship. That's not a friendship. And so I think how you don't use them is just like you offer something in return. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. I was actually going to say the same thing. Like you might see a person only at certain times. Like, for example, you might have your work friends, or you might have your, I don't know, academic friends, or your, what I call your parent friends. You know, like some people are just like parents in a friendship.
Yes.
But, and like you might have friends that like you want to party with, but other friends you want to go to church with, you know? Like obviously you want to go to church with everyone. And you want to party with your church friends too, but
yes. We fall into both categories.
Yes. But
we are so much fun.
If you aren't like actively trying to see like, oh, how are you, whatever, like it's not really a friendship then, it's just someone that you do stuff with sometimes. You know?
And I think something that's important is you don't have to have a super deep friendship with everyone.
No.
Because that's exhausting. It's okay to make friends and call each other friends, but not feel this need to like know everything about each person because you just don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
So the one thing I actually wrote down a couple of friends that like type of friends, if you will.
Okay. I also did.
The first one that I wrote is just the fun friend. And I think
I wrote that too.
I think that this can come across really shallow, and I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah.
You just get those people where you know when you hang out, it's going to be a jewel. Like it's going to be so much fun. Like they naturally are very uplifting, you know. And it's also, I think that there are those people who are social butterflies in the fact that they are able to bring people together. You know,
100%.
Like they are always inviting people, and I think it can be good to have a friend like this, especially if you are more introverted. It's nice to have someone there to kind of pull you out of your shell a little bit.
One thing I will say is make sure that you check in on your fun friend, because I think
that's the thing. They're not like shallow people. They're also not always turned on.
Exactly.
Like, Whatever. That too.
Yeah, you never know what someone's going through. And I mean, like, a lot of people are really
Sure.
good at sort of, being the life of the
Hiding.
party, but then they go home and, the song When the Party's Over by Billie Eilish, that kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. What type of friend do you have next?
I already like basically mentioned all of the types when I was just listing them, but I have like the spiritual kind of friend, and spiritual I mean like
Me
anything
too.
like, yeah, it could be, not like necessarily law of attraction kind of spiritual.
No, we're not talking about that.
But like both Zara and I are Christians, so it is nice to have someone who is maybe also a Christian, or if you're not a Christian, who has the same sort of beliefs as you, who can encourage you in that
Yeah.
in that way,
Yeah.
Because like I can't necessarily talk to my non-Christian friends about my problems or about my issues,
Yeah,
and it's
be
like
like, "Please pray
specifically
for me."
related. And they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Or even like I couldn't necessarily talk to them if I'm having problems, like being a Christian, like, oh, I have a problem with this part of the church, because then they're going to be like, yeah, the church is
The
stupid,
church
kind of
is
thing.
terrible.
Not
Yeah,
to
so
say
I
that people are
think-
disrespectful, but
Yeah.
like a lot of people just wouldn't get it.
Yeah. And I think, it's really important that you're constantly being encouraged in the faith, because like we weren't meant to walk our journey with the Lord alone. So
Yeah.
community is super, super important. And also, I think a question that I've actually got from from other Christians is, can I have friends that aren't Christian? And I'm like, please, I hope so.
You have to.
Yeah, just because it can be very damaging to only spend time with Christians, because it's this little bubble that you actually don't see the rest of the world. And there are actually some nice people that aren't Christian.
Surprise. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Yeah, so I think it's important that you have a good mix of friends. And it's also like, I think if you're a young Christian, and let's just say that you decided that you don't want to be drinking all the time, then don't cut out every friend of yours that drinks. Just be careful with how you
exactly.
balance out that time, So, yeah.
Exactly. And what is your next friend?
My next one is just people whom you have shared interests, or you can relate to on
Yes.
certain things. So like when Sean and I became friends, like a lot of the basis of our friendship right in the beginning was music. We just loved music, so we were constantly sharing music and talking about music.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the person that, like, in the first 2 weeks I would talk about like my whole life story to. And there's like people you play sports with, and I wouldn't know anything about that. And it's okay, and it's kind of nice to have people you can do those things with. Like your
No, it
parents
is.
cycle with lots of people.
And why would they do that? No, it's really, really nice to find people who you have interests with. And I mean, one of my friends, Danielle, she sometimes listens. I don't know if she's listening right now, but I mean, when we ever talk, our conversations
About Taylor
go
Swift,
so
number
much,
one.
so much about Taylor Swift, so much about Harry Styles, so much about sustainability and climate change.
We love
And like
it.
it never gets boring to talk about it,
Yeah,
And also
for sure.
because, and this is what I want to say as well, like you don't need to be in constant contact with friends, right? Like
Yeah.
you and I will often have just random conversations throughout the day.
I honestly think if people read our WhatsApp chats, they would
So
probably
stupid.
admit us to like some psychiatric award.
Maybe. But I mean, because I don't like always, I'm not in constant communication with all of my friends. So when we do see each other, it's just really nice to just fully catch up and be in the moment. I can't do that with you because you don't live here anymore. But
Whatever.
it's okay. Yeah.
20 sleeps and then you get to see me, Danielle.
20, really? That's quite close.
Yes. Not close
Wow.
enough, but yes.
Very exciting.
And on that note, I think it's just people like, there's certain people that have maybe been through the same thing as you. And so
Yeah, your
it's
shared
easier
trauma
to
friend.
talk to them. Yes. And then like, you get your couple friends. So like,
Yeah.
like you want to go hang out as couples, then you can. A side note,
You
if
can?
you're a couple and you only have couple friends, I look down upon you.
Yes.
It
I
is
feel
my
like,
least favorite thing. When
yeah,
couples like all couple up, it's really nice. Like the fact that I
yeah,
have someone now, it just makes the dynamic with us nicer. Like we can do things together. But like, I don't know, you get people who once they are in a relationship, then they start only hanging out with couples, and I can't.
yeah.
I
I
can't
mean,
do that.
I feel like with the married couples who've been married a long time, like they do sort of gravitate. Is it gravitate? Yeah, they do sort of like gravitate towards other couples and like other
Yeah,
married couples, especially like if they have kids or whatever, because it's just a bit easier.
yeah,
I don't know. It's a bit easier to associate with people who are like you, I
yes,
guess. So I feel like I
yeah,
understand when you're like a married couple, but like a
yeah,
long married couple, and like all of your friends are basically married at that point anyway. But yeah,
yeah,
once
no,
you get
for
into a
sure.
relationship and you only hang around couples, it's a bit weird. Not gonna lie.
Yeah,
A little bit weird. And also, how do you know so many couples?
yeah.
Weird.
Where did they come from?
Yeah.
And then okay, wait, you're next.
Yeah, so I said you also get your lifelong friends. And not every friend is a lifelong friend,
Oh, which we'll talk about
but
in the next
I,
segment.
yes. But I feel like I'm saying so much. Anyway,
That's okay.
mind
This
your
is our
business. Mind your
podcast.
business. It's our business and our podcast, but we're not making any money, so it's not a very good business. Yeah. So I feel like there are just some people in your life who you can always talk to, who you can always consider a friend throughout your life. And yeah, just through every season you might like we said, might not always be as close, but they're always there for you
Yeah.
and you're always there for them,
Yes,
which is
for
nice.
sure. I think that kind of, yeah, mine, I wrote years and years. And sometimes it can be
That's a
family, you
band.
know. That is a band. Sometimes it's family, you know, like you and Larissa will
Yeah.
always be friends. Like, because you're forced to,
Absolutely.
number one, but like you also like each other, so it's convenient.
Yes.
But you
Exactly.
also get those kinds of friends who just naturally will always be with you. And that's kind of a comfort. It's like,
It
unfortunately,
is.
you are stuck with me.
Yeah.
Or
Deal with it.
fortunately, depending.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's next?
I think you can. You.
Yes. So then there's just those friends who you can connect with on an intellectual level. By that I don't
Yeah,
mean
I wrote
like,
academic friends.
yes, I don't mean like smart people and dumb people. It's just like
Yeah.
if you're interested in a certain branch of like knowledge or thought,
Things.
yes, it's nice to, you know. So like if I
Yeah.
see something on the news, like I'll send it to you first generally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's okay to have friends like that as well. It's okay to have friends that you talk to about just those things. You know, I have people who I send things on Instagram to when it's related to that thing, but we don't really talk about anything else, and that's okay.
Yeah. That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than like sending something to someone and then they're like,
Huh?
what? Huh? Sometimes you send things to me and I'm like, huh? And then you tell me and I'm like, oh, yeah. That
Dumb.
very much does relate to me. Yeah. But yeah, it is nice to have people who you can actually have good conversations with.
Yeah.
And even if you don't necessarily agree on the same things, it's just about the ability to have that conversation and have respectful conversations.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
Yes.
So then I have the parent friend slash advice friend. So
Yes.
yeah, there are always people who sort of like assume the role of like the mom
The
friend or something like
parent.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of just want to like look after you, make sure that you're okay. And yeah, it's pretty nice to have those people around. And
For
yeah, you can
sure.
go to them with a problem and they can give you advice. I don't know. Do you
Yes.
think they have to be older than you?
No.
I don't think so either.
No, I don't. But I
Yeah.
think, like, I would even say that a mentorship relationship is also a friendship, but then
Yeah,
then that
100%.
is very different. But you do get the friends that you can go to that you can trust completely.
Yes.
You know, and I think that there are friendships where maybe it is a little bit more give and take. So like their friends, for example, like I've developed like friendships with the girls I used to mentor. But I don't necessarily put all of my stuff on them, just given the dynamic
Yes.
of the way our friendship has grown. But it doesn't mean it's not a friendship.
Yeah.
And vice versa, you know, like, so, yeah.
No, it's cool.
And then the last one is that you have that friend who will be completely honest with you, that cares enough
Yes.
about you to tell you the truth, even if it's rough.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
at
I
the same
think it's
time, it's nice to
important
have like,
those people.
yeah.
And then also there's
it's also
people
nice
who
to
will
have
be
your
like,
hype
you
friends.
go girl, you can do this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I feel
yes,
like
honesty is
Lizzo
very
would be one of those
important.
people in my life. If I were friends with Lizzo, she would be my hype woman.
100%. I mean, she's
Side note.
she's everyone's hype woman at the moment.
Agreed.
You know.
Yes. And also you'll have different friendships that tick off different areas in this thing. Can I please tell you though, like the other day when Basil Sparks,
Yes.
whom I speak about all the time, preached at Sean's church, and then he called Sean up on stage and he was like, we have a mutual friend. That was me. I worked for him.
You're the
and I'm
mutual
his
friend.
and I'm Sean's girlfriend, but I'm also his friend. Mutual friendships. So friendships,
So true.
you get friendships of all kinds, all
Exactly.
shapes and sizes.
All shapes and lots of things, all the things.
Yes. The last
Cool.
thing though, sorry, just one more thing on that before we
All
move
good.
to the next section, was just it's so important not to compare friends.
Yes, very important.
I think that can be very, very dangerous, especially like friendship groups, like close-knit cliques can get dangerous in that sense. So I think you just have to remember that people are who they are. And I
Yeah.
think we'll talk about this forever and ever in any relationship, is like you have to manage your expectations, but just
Yeah.
you can't compare people, you know.
No, 100%.
So
And like when
it's just
you
important.
start a friendship with someone, like you said, they are who they are, and you kind of just have to accept that. You're never going to be the savior. You can't expect. Like it's the same with a romantic relationship. You know, you shouldn't start
All
a
of
friendship
these
with
things
someone being
are
like,
important. Yeah.
yeah, you can't start a friendship and think, oh, I'll change them and like make them better. I don't know if anyone does think that way, but I don't know why you would. It's pretty weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't try to be like someone's savior or anything like that, because you know what, it's just not going to work out like that.
I
And also,
agree.
while you have to accept people for who they are, and if you choose to pursue a friendship, then so be it. But if you are not feeling great about the friendship, you don't need to stay friends with someone.
Yeah.
And we did talk about red flags in our first red flags episode.
Yes.
So go check that
Red
out,
flags,
and you
yes.
can
So
hear all
we-
about the red flags and friendships.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we aren't going to mention in this episode, but we did address in that episode.
Yes.
Cool. So the next thing is seasons in friendships. So what does a
Seasons.
summer friendship look like? And what does a winter friendship look like?
You know what's difficult about that here is that some people really like winter and some people really like summer, and then they don't like the other season.
It's
You
rude.
know, so seasons are like very subjective for people.
Fine.
Just
Okay,
in
let's
case you
stop
didn't
talking
know.
nonsense. Let's go. What do you have to say about this?
Cool. Well, I feel like I've basically said this, but you're not always going to have the same relationship with your friends that you once had. I have a lot of people in my life who I was maybe quite close to at one stage, and then we've drifted apart, don't really speak that much anymore, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I don't consider them a friend. Like if I've cared for you at least once before in my life, I'm not going to all of a sudden decide, oh, no,
Switch
we're
it
not really
off.
friends anymore. You know, like I
Yeah.
do consider you a friend. Even if we don't really see each other, like you're still my friend. It is what it
Yeah.
is. Life happens, you know. And
Yeah.
I think friends will, you'll have friends for like different times of your life. So
For sure.
some friends, like you might be going through something or something that might be happening in your life that like a lot of friends won't really be able to help you with or relate to at
Yeah.
all. Whereas like another friend might know exactly what you're going through and might know exactly what to do to help you.
Yeah.
And you might like grow closer, but then, I don't know, after a while you might drift apart. It's a pretty normal part of life, to be honest.
For sure. And I think the important thing is we need to be okay with the fact that some friends are seasonal. Like something I
Yeah.
realized when I was leaving DBC is I'm moving across the country, and there are friendships that I developed there that I treasure and I value so much, but I accept the fact that we're moving on to different seasons. It's the same when you leave high school,
Yeah.
or I'm not friends
Exactly.
with anyone from primary school anymore. I have some of them on
No.
Facebook, but like I'm not
I'm
active
friends with
friends
people
with
from
them.
primary school. Yeah.
Like Devin, the monkey.
Yeah. Oh, that's a hilarious photo.
Yes.
But yeah, no,
Maybe
you're
we'll share
absolutely
it
right.
sometime.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, you get different phases of your life. So something that I've actually seen it twice, is the best friend dynamic when a friend gets married. Is unfortunately it does change, and it doesn't mean
Yeah, it
that
has to
like
change.
like unfortunately or fortunately, healthily, your friend's spouse is going to come before you.
Yes.
That's now their family. So
Yeah.
I think it's just prepare yourself for those kinds of seasons. Or when your friend has a baby, like if they
Yeah.
can't make plans with you, like understand that they're in a different life phase to you,
Exactly.
So, and we need to be okay with that. Like I'm dating a
Yeah.
student. Ugh. I just had to deal.
Oh, terrible. I think we should maybe talk a little bit more about how romantic relationships, like once you get into a
Yes.
romantic relationship, how that might
Yes.
affect your friendships.
Yes.
And yeah, we already said, sometimes friends will get into a relationship and then they might only want to hang out with couples or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, even just aside from that, if you get into a relationship, your friendships are naturally going to change a little bit. I think when you're still young, I don't think that your romantic relationship needs to become your everything. I think you need to realize that friendships are incredibly important because as like statistically, you probably won't end up with whoever you're dating when you're a teenager. Yeah, you probably won't end up with them. So if you let your friendships deteriorate, if or when you break up with your significant other, it's just going to be really hurtful. You're going to, and I think it's also really hurtful for the friends because they're like, oh, she's or she or he's choosing their boyfriend or girlfriend.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's going to be some hurt feelings over there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just best not to alienate yourself. So
On
just
the
think
other
about that.
hand, something that I've kind of quote unquote strived to do is I also think when you get into a new relationship, it's very natural to be super excited about it, and it's all you want to
absolutely.
talk. It's all you want to talk about. And so I hope that I'm the kind of friend who, like, if a friend of mine gets into a new relationship, like for me, I understand if she wants to talk about this guy for 10 minutes and I'm not going to be like, oh, shut up about this guy. It's an exciting time and I want to be a part of that and celebrate in that as well. So
Yeah.
I think it is like you might not be the plus one to everything anymore, and that's okay.
That's okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will naturally change. Don't alienate yourself. And also, if your friend gets a boyfriend or a girlfriend, be excited for them because it is exciting.
It is exciting.
And yeah.
Yes, and you can manage both. I've honestly, and we've been friends, like you and Devin have basically always been together in my brain, like for as long as you and I have been close friends. And I've never felt like, obviously Devin's comes first, and like, but I've never felt like I've been left out or like, you know. And even
I'm
if I have, like, I haven't let you, I just like show up when I want to.
No,
Like,
exactly.
It's literally like the Murray family are going away, and Danielle's bringing Devin and Zara. That's probably not normal,
it's fun.
but in our case,
No,
like,
but I mean, when like Devin gets on so well with my whole family, so
yes, he's talking to your dad more than he's talking to you sometimes. So.
Exactly, he really is. It's very funny.
Okay, and then also seasons in friendship is emotional needs shift.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just generally need more support in one season than in another season. And that's also okay. Yeah, your emotional needs change along with your so your friendships might change as well, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
100%. Yeah.
And then people change.
People do change.
Like,
yes.
especially like from high school to like after high school to 10 years time, like people change. And I don't think we need to like envy that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's important that we grow and we move. We move.
We move. Exactly.
So yes,
Yeah.
that's important.
Exactly.
We ebb and flow. We grow as we
Yes.
go.
Grow as we go. Amen to that.
Yes.
Cool.
Do you have anything else to say in seasons?
No. I think I've said all that I need to say, and you've said all that you need to say, hopefully.
I have one more thing. You're so rude. Is also
So
it's
rude.
okay to mourn a friendship. If a friendship
yeah.
season is coming to an end, it doesn't have to be a dramatic end, but like it's okay to miss, you know, people that you were once close to.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like let yourself feel that, you know. That's all right.
But yeah, they're once an important part of your life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a natural part of life. And yeah, not all friendships necessarily end in a big fight and, you know, everyone's crying and, I don't know, unfollowing each other on Instagram. A lot of friendships just literally fizzle out, you know, and it doesn't mean that you don't still love each other, but you're just not going to be as close anymore.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it is a part of life.
Indeed.
Cool. Different expressions of friendship. Is that what
Yes.
we're on next?
Yes. So what did we mean by this? Because I
Yeah.
knew what I meant and you knew what I meant, but what does it mean?
So, like how you express friendship.
Yes.
You know,
do
my
you use a
immediate thought was
dictionary?
the 5 love languages.
Yes, but I actually think that like plays a part in this, even though
Yeah,
I'm not a
definitely.
huge fan. I did read the book and it wasn't life
Oh,
changing.
did you? Oh,
Yeah, I did.
how sad.
Funnily enough, my ex-boyfriend's mom bought it for me. So I read it.
Didn't work well, obviously.
Clearly
Joking.
not. But yeah, I think that, and our friendship has taught me the most about this, is like different people express love differently.
Yes.
And so you might be expressing affection or whatever in a way that you like to like be made to feel, but it's not necessarily how they feel loved. So to make it practical, for example, like I like physical touch. So like I know that you're intentional about like hugging me. You know, you're not like a super touchy person,
Yeah.
but like you
No.
will hug me.
Yes.
Whereas like I know that you like quality time, and I think in high school we missed each other a lot there because like I would tell you, because I like to have words of affirmation before, less so now. So I would tell you, oh Danielle, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, but like I made no time for you. So it's like it's very easy for you to say like
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that way, you know. And it's like you're not one to write like long love letters, but you know that I appreciate that. So I remember the one birthday you're like, between the two of us, you're the wordy one, but da da da. So like it wouldn't necessarily work the same way. But I just think it's important to recognize how does the other person receive, you know, love, and important that you love them in that way, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. I'm glad that you I'm glad that you're not a person who wants a lot of acts of services from me in particular, because this would never have worked out.
He is the worst. Yes, guys, Danielle is not a fan of making everyone tea.
I'm not. I'm literally, I don't know what it is about me, but I don't like doing acts of services. And okay, I don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm never the person. I'm never the person to like stay behind and clean up after a party. I'm like, let's get out of here, you know? Like I was here, I spent the quality time, let's go. I mean, it's not to say that like
Yes.
when you do help out, and I mean, I do like to help out around the house, and I like to do
When
some
you're looking
things
after your brothers now while your
occasionally.
parents are just vacaying,
Yeah,
that's an act
yeah.
of service.
And it's
I
not,
hope they feel your love.
I think, I hope so. Yeah, and it's not like I refuse to do dishes or I refuse to do washing. Like I do all those things, and I like doing it, but I don't know, maybe it's selfish, but like when it makes me feel
No.
nice, then like I will do it. I don't know.
She's not a terrible person, guys. She's making herself sound terrible, but she's really not.
I just feel like you'd always hear like, especially at church, because I feel like a lot of what is the word I'm trying to say? A lot of acts of services was basically like really highlighted, and I remember if it was holiday club or whatever it was, they would always be like, this person is so amazing because they stayed behind and mopped the floors, and I'm like,
I was
okay,
jumping on stage for those kids.
I would not do that. I'm sorry, that's just not what I do. It's not.
But like, if you
it's not my
knew
gift.
that like you had someone close in your life and that was how they felt love, then I mean, you would do the thing.
I don't know if I'd mop their floors, but I mean, if they were going through a tough time and they couldn't clean their house, I might help them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for example, like I'm a very touchy person, but if I know someone just doesn't like physical contact, I'm not going to be like, oh, let's hug for 5 minutes. No.
Yeah.
So
I find I hug the people, I mean, apart from Devin, I find I hug the people that I'm like closest to, probably the least. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's like, oh, I'm too close to you. I can't like lean on your shoulder. It's weird.
it's very funny. But yeah, so I think that's actually helped me a lot. I don't know, I kind of learned that in our friendship. And yeah, people experience love in different ways.
Yeah. So I think it's good if you even want to ask your friends, like, oh, how do you sort of experience love? How do you want to receive? Like, what is your love language? Yeah. How do you like to show love? All those kinds of things. I don't think it needs to be a weird thing. Like, it's really just to help you and your friendship.
Exactly. Okay, so then my next one was, I put it under different expressions in friendship because that felt like the most applicable place to put it. But what are your thoughts on male-female relationships? And I'll say this as a straight person because I don't actually know how I would deal with the dynamic like in same-sex relationships, but like as a straight person, how do you handle that dynamic of being friends with someone of the opposite sex?
Okay, so are you saying like if I like that I'm in a relationship or just like in general?
Both.
Yeah. Okay, I think so. If you're just like a normal person, if you just if you like maybe
that
a single person,
disqualifies me. I'm not.
Yeah,
normal.
sorry. Bye. So if you're a single person and you're are friends with opposite sex, I don't know. I've always been of the opinion that like, oh, it's fine. You can be friends without like anything happening, without anyone catching feelings. But I've seen it too many times where people do catch feelings.
Yes.
And you know what? And this is what they always say on the What We Said podcast whenever this like topic comes up, because like if you're not feeling the attraction for, let's say, your guy best friend, it doesn't mean he's not feeling the attraction for you. You know what I'm saying?
Amen, sister.
You know, it's like you don't really know. And I mean, obviously, then if you ask your guy best friend or your girl best friend, like, oh, do you like, I'm not really, like if you make out like you're not really interested, they're not going to act like they are really interested because it's a bit like, it's a bit awkward.
Maybe I'll do a whole episode on my experience with that.
Yeah. And then on the other hand as well, like some people will just never really have that attraction. Like, oh, you might think, oh, they're an attractive person, but I don't really want to be with them. You know, because I mean, human beings can control themselves and like we can be really smart sometimes. So you're not always going to have that sort of like magnetism with someone of the opposite sex just because they are of the opposite sex. But I'm just saying, just because you don't feel it doesn't mean they don't feel it. So think about that.
So do you think that, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion depending on your answer, do you think a guy and a girl can be best friends? Do you think your best friend can be a guy?
I mean, I think you can be best friends. I don't know. I do think you can be best friends. But it's not to say that, like, you're always going to be best friends. And especially, like, if you get into a relationship, you know, it is the dynamics are going to change. Depending on the kind of person you are, I guess. I don't know. For me personally, I wouldn't feel super comfortable if, like, Devin was, like, best friends with a girl. And this is not to say, like, oh, he can't have friends that are girls, because I mean, Devin's always been the kind of guy to have a lot of girl friends, friends that are girls.
Yeah.
He only has one girlfriend.
That's you.
But I mean, I mean, like, his friendships with them are like will never be the same as it is with me, and I don't feel threatened or anything in that sort of way.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you learn. We've been through lots of different phases in our friendship, and like at the beginning, I was kind of like, I just said in our friendship, in our relationship. At the beginning, like, I did used to feel a little bit insecure about like girls that he was friends with.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, I just need to communicate those feelings first of all. And you just kind of need to set boundaries, say what you're comfortable with, ask them what they're comfortable with. That's really what the most important thing is in a relationship and in a friendship. Don't be afraid to set boundaries with your guy friends or your girlfriends or whatever. Like, set boundaries.
For sure.
Yeah. What do you think?
So I don't think it's possible to be like, for your one best friend to be someone of the opposite sex, because when you inevitably get into a relationship, that can be a very uncomfortable dynamic for the other person, because they can trust you 100%, but like, you just never know. And so I don't know, I think a healthy distance is always safe. And it's like, you get those friendships where a guy and a girl are best friends, but they like lie on top of each other and they just like always at each other's houses, and that's fine, with the understanding that, oh, when we get into a relationship, things will change. But it's very difficult to regress. You know? So I don't know, I just think you should be a little bit more careful. And the reality is, if you are being very, very vulnerable with someone of the opposite sex, that is how you that's how intimacy is accomplished. And so it can be very difficult. So yeah, I just think rather safe than sorry. And I will maybe talk about this more in depth at some point. But as you know, Danielle, like, I think what made me realize I have feelings for my very good friend was the idea of him liking someone else. Like, then it started to bug me. And like, I think if I started dating someone, they would probably not be happy with the level of depth that existed between me and my friend who was eventually going to become my boyfriend. So you just have to be careful.
Yeah, you do have to be careful. I think I've said all that I want to say on the topic.
Yeah.
I feel like I had a thought, but I mean, I think everything that has needed to be said has been said from my side.
Fantastic. The last thing, and this kind of goes into solving conflict, which is why we can like have a nice segue, but also just if people don't share all their feelings with you, don't see that as we're not close.
Yeah.
Because some people process out loud and need to verbalize things, and some people actually just need to think about it for themselves before they express anything. And so I would just say that some people are just generally talkers, and that's how they process things. And that can, obviously, you feel very close to that person then. But if you have a friend who only tells you things after the fact, it's not like they don't trust you per se. They just, they don't like process things out loud. And so it's important to understand the difference and not get upset.
Yeah. And also just, let the friend know that you are there for them when they want to tell you things, just make yourself available in that way if you have the space for it, obviously.
For sure.
But with conflict, I am a person who wants to avoid conflict all the time. I hate it. I'm not a fan.
I'm getting better at like conflict. I'm like, come at me, bro. But with a hug.
Good. No, it's very good. But I mean, I just try not to, on purpose, start. I mean, I don't know why anyone purposefully starts drama, but some people just do. I guess.
Strange. Some
It is
people really
strange.
like drama, and that's strange for me
Yeah.
as an adult.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I saw a post the other day that said, like, oh, I don't like drama when I'm involved. But when other people have drama, like, yeah, tell me all about it. I'm keen.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, no, it's very strange to me. Like, drama as an adult is really strange for me.
I
But
know.
anyways,
Like, but things happen.
but
You know?
conflict, on the other hand, like conflict is
Happens all the
inevitable,
time.
especially in friendships.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
Danielle and I have a fight and we don't talk for 5 months, how do we solve that conflict?
Zara, I am just crying every single day and like
know.
eating ice cream and things like that. It's terrible.
know.
And then eventually I will just tell you a funny joke.
I was going
And
to
then
say,
you'll be
we'll
like,
send a meme.
cool.
Okay, but that doesn't solve all conflicts. So let's discuss some
That doesn't happen,
tips.
by the way.
Oh yeah, we've never
It
gone.
doesn't happen.
No.
No.
And we've never like fought. I think we have like disagreements, but I've gotten better.
Disagreements.
The only time ever is I'll be like, "Are you angry with me?" Because like it'll be
Yeah.
through a message. Because like you can't.
And I'm
always
usually not
tell.
angry.
No,
Yeah.
she's not.
No.
So my first tip, and I think this is solving conflict in friendships, but it can apply to anything really, any relationship. And the first one
Yeah.
is just don't try and win the fight. It's not about winning the fight. Like if you
Yeah.
are so dead set on being right, then you have to understand that, okay, it's at the risk of a friendship. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll often say, because I'm so cute, I'll say it's you and me versus the problem, not
This is the problem.
me versus
You
you.
and you versus you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same with any sort of
Any
relationship.
relationship, yeah.
And you have to realize at some point, like, if your fights are always against each other, especially if you have a lot of differences ideologically or morally or things like that, you probably won't change the other person's mind about a lot of things.
No.
So once again, don't have a savior complex, and
No.
yeah, just realize, like, either you're okay with having friends with like very different beliefs than you, or you're not. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it can work in a friendship, but like a relationship, no ways. Like,
No, especially like not when it comes to your morals or religious beliefs or anything like that. Like, you know what? Just be careful with those kinds of things.
for sure.
Yeah. So I wrote, and this is because I have been watching The Office and finished
We
the
love
last
The
season now.
Office.
And, you know, when, I guess, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched The Office or are busy watching The Office, then just skip. But when Jim and Pam are fighting,
Yes.
and that they go through therapy, then they're told, no, they have to speak their truth. And with everything, they're like, well, to speak my truth. Da, 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 da.
Yes.
And honestly,
Very
that's what you have to do,
passive-aggressive.
though.
It
You know,
is.
not in a passive aggressive way, but you do
No.
have to speak your truth.
So true, bestie.
Don't be afraid to. Thank you. Don't be afraid to communicate what you're feeling. Like if your friend did something that bothered you for whatever reason, even if you think it's stupid and they'll like it's probably not a big deal,
Yeah.
it's okay to say so. And like for me personally, if I ever get annoyed by anything, I do like take time to internalize things. I'm not gonna get annoyed and then be like, why would you say this? That was so annoying.
Yeah.
You know, I just need to think things through, think, oh, is it really a big deal? And then if I think it's worth bringing up, then I will bring it up, you
For
know.
sure. Always sleep on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wrote literally, I said communicate, don't bottle.
Don't bottle.
So-
Yeah.
So if something's been bugging you for multiple days, the more you bury it, the next thing that person does is going to annoy you so much, and then it's much bigger than it ever needed to be.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
if you're really friends with someone, then hopefully you've learned to communicate. So literally, it's so dumb, especially now. I think I'm learning it more so than ever when almost the majority of my relationships and friendships are long distance. But like when people say communication is like the most important thing in a relationship, like it really is.
Yeah. They mean it.
Like, yeah. So as cliche as it sounds, like communicate.
Yeah. You have to.
Yes,
Yeah, like I said, your brain makes things worse. So
100%.
they're going to say another thing and you're going to get like so frustrated. And then at a stage, like it almost gets too late to like not to chat about it, but like it will turn into a fight probably, and that sucks. So try to avoid that.
Okay, then my next one was compromising. Specifically, so, and I've seen this, I think specifically with you and Devin, you've actually spoken about this before in the podcast, is we just kind of attract people that are different from us. It's very normal.
Yeah.
But like you often get people in friendships where when there's an issue, they want to talk it out right now. And then you get another person who can't deal with the conflict right now, and it's like you kind of have to find a middle ground where you are willing to take time out, but not like leave the person hanging for days and days and days and days. So you kind of have to find a middle ground, because some people do need some time and some people do need to talk about it in order to feel better. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And I think what I wrote next was don't gossip about that friend. So when you're going through conflict,
You know what I said?
or
Don't make it a
What?
community affair.
nice.
For real. Especially in church, holy cow, people.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because it's the same thing as really being in a relationship. You know, like if this friendship is really important to you, you're not going to involve everyone whenever you go through any sort of conflict. Because, like you said, conflict is inevitable, and it also just sparks rumors that might not even really be true.
Yeah, for
And like I said, it's okay to seek advice about things. If you go to the right person, you have to realize some people are gossipers, so don't do that.
Yeah.
If you know your friend is a gossiper, probably don't share all of your deep dark
Deepest,
feelings
darkest
with them.
secrets, yeah.
Exactly. So don't make conflict drama if it doesn't need to be, and it usually doesn't need to be.
I agree. Okay, then I said put yourself in their shoes. In conflict always. Like I think it's so important to be able to say, okay, what if I were the other person and they are dealing with X, Y, and Z right now? How would I manage the pressure of this and this and this, you know? So if Danielle is feeling overwhelmed and we have a fight, I'm like, okay, but Danielle's also looking after 2 teenage boys and dogs that just drag her around, and a master's and a job and a needy boyfriend. Like, shame, your boyfriend's actually
That was the
not
wordle
super
word
needy.
today. Needy.
Needy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just put yourself in the other person's shoes, especially if you're friends, you know that person and you know what they're going through.
Yeah. Have some
So,
compassion and empathy.
Amen.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I see I didn't actually write any more advice, so you carry on and I will chip in when need be.
Because you're a perfect friend who never has conflict.
That's true. So true, bestie.
So this I heard from Chad Masters. He says it all the time. He says, don't expect what you can't express. So you can never get angry with someone for not doing something you wanted them to do if you didn't tell them to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
I've never been one to say, no, you can't be angry, because I don't want to gaslight people or invalidate their feelings. But like, it's just unreasonable to be angry with someone, you know, for not doing something if you didn't ask them to. Like, we aren't. Devin was joking about this literally before we started recording. He's like, I cannot read your mind. I cannot read your minds. So it's just like, if you're going to be frustrated about something, just make sure that like that person understands that you were expecting one thing and you know it wasn't, you know, they didn't meet up to it. So yes,
exactly,
express yourself.
I agree. Do express yourself.
Yes. And then another thing, and you've spoken a lot about this, was just accepting differences, you know, like you aren't going to change anyone. So if you're in a conflict, let's just say that you disagree on like an issue, like it doesn't need to be a fight, you know. If your best friend is pro-life and you are pro-choice, it doesn't have to be the end of your friendship. You don't have to scream and shout and let it all out. Like the Black
you
Eyed
can agree
Peas?
to disagree, and find common ground, you know.
Yes.
Like, just because you disagree on some things, it doesn't mean that you disagree on everything about
Everything.
that issue,
Yeah.
you know?
If
So find
the
common
person
ground.
thinks like murder's okay, then maybe that's a no. But otherwise,
Yes. Yeah. Ugh, if they're not going to murder anyone, then it is what it is.
if they
Pray for your
Taylor
life.
Swift, it's fine.
Exactly. It's fine.
Okay, and then my
Yeah.
last one was don't play the game. Don't play the blame game. Yes,
Amen
because
to that.
there are always two sides to a story, and I think that there are definite things, like for example, like if a friend shares like a deep dark secret that you told them never to tell anyone, like they are clearly in the wrong. But I think it's just always important that you just are able to evaluate, okay, where do I stand in this situation? Have I done anything that may
Yeah.
have caused any issues? And like, even in my previous relationship, I remember like a couple of months after I sat down and I wrote down like all the mistakes I made. Once I was past the hurt where I was like, he did this wrong. And, you know, because everyone does that after a breakup, most people.
Yeah.
But once I acknowledged like my fault, it was just such a like growth experience.
Yeah.
And I think it makes conflict less ugly when both people are able to admit like, this is where I fall short, you know?
Yeah.
So
Realize that you're not a perfect person.
no,
so-
unless your name is Danielle or Zara, like unfortunately, or Jesus, unfortunately,
Yeah. Phew.
it's just the case.
That was a close one, hey?
Lol. Yeah, so that's all I have to say about friendships. Should we answer those two questions?
Yes. So the first one, she asked us to talk about making friends as an adult. And
A lot more
yeah,
difficult.
yes, it is tricky because especially if you're not in like school or like going to university classes, maybe
Yeah.
you're not really having like groups of people around you at all times that make it kind of easy
Yeah, for sure.
to make friends, you know? So I think I wrote down some things. I don't know if you want to
No, go ahead.
chat about what you wrote first. So I think firstly, what's important is that you are yourself, that you be yourself. And we've spoken about this before, but I mean, you're never really going to make true friendships if you're trying to fit into
For sure.
a different mold or
For sure.
trying to be someone who you think someone else might like. Because, I mean, maybe they will like that person, but I mean, it's going to be really draining for you to sort of be that person all the time when it's not
Yes.
really who you are.
Yes.
And I mean, like we said,
you can't always be turned on.
you can't always be turned on. Please.
I'm going to 100% put that in
and-
our description for this episode.
And I think, well, it's really important. Like when I say this, I'm not trying to say that you just got to like be there and like everyone will come to you. But I mean, I really do believe that like your vibe does attract your tribe kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's like, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be passive. But I mean, if it means joining groups, if you have a hobby, you can join a group that does those hobbies. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like go to church if you're a Christian and you want to make Christian friends, then go to church.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're inevitably going to chat to someone at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, like try to put yourself out there in things that you're interested in because you'll find people with similar interests to you, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to make friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I can definitely relate to this just because it's been a struggle for me, given the fact that I am a young adult and I live in a town where there aren't that many young adults. Like the demographic in my church, for example, the majority of the people in my church are like retired. So
Yeah.
moving here, especially coming from an area like Durbanville where literally UCT and Stellenbosch are like right there. So there's a lot of varsity age students and then beyond. And Cape Town's just a really like nice place to settle. And so for me, it's genuinely like you have to put yourself out there. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's like I found a young adults group that meets in the area and just met people and like go out for coffee, you know. Like I think the friend that I've made here, who's probably one of my closest friends here now, is I told someone I'm looking for friends, and they were like, "Oh, let me give you her number," and we went on like a blind coffee date. No, but we literally just WhatsApped, and she knew I was new to the area, and she's like, "Let's grab coffee." And we grabbed coffee, and like we've developed a friendship from there on out. And I think it can be really terrifying. But like, unfortunately, you do just need to put yourself out there. Yeah, you don't have to be an extrovert, but you do have to show some sort of initiative, because it isn't like school where you're surrounded by a million people and you have a wide range of people to choose from who are all your age, etc.
No, exactly.
So
I think as well, like social media is a pretty cool tool for
be
meeting
friends
people.
with us, y'all.
Yeah.
DM us, we will be your friend.
Yes, Shay, my Instagram is, well, if you follow me on Instagram at Danielle_Maria, my Instagram is private, and I might not accept your follow if I don't know who you are.
Maybe just request
It's
message me and
nothing-
be like, I'm trying to make friends I listen to, in other words, with a yellow heart.
Yes.
Then we know.
Yes. So yeah, social media is a great tool for meeting people. So if you follow someone that maybe lives in an area close to you and you think, oh, maybe we'd be friends, I don't know, maybe you could message them. Who knows? I've never done that, never had to. I would have a lot of anxiety doing that, but
It is
the worst thing they can say is no
incredibly-
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
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 I
It's the
think
same
another
with, like,
important
sliding
thing-
into people's DMs. I used to be so against
Yeah.
that, and I wouldn't
It
want
depends
to.
how you do it.
But like, I know
Yeah.
a lot of people. Like, I know Trey Kennedy, I think, met his wife via social media. Didn't Jason Gabe meet each other on social media? I think Tori and Chad also
Yeah.
met each other on social media.
Also,
all these
hectic.
YouTubers.
Yeah.
Actually, no, they didn't. Or they did. I can't remember. But like, all a person can say is no. And I think there's this weird, like,
Exactly.
oh, you're so desperate
then you
if
move
you're
on.
looking for friends. No, I literally told this whole town, I have
No.
no friends. Find me friends. And I have friends.
Yes, exactly. I think another important thing, and as someone, I'm not good at this, but anyway,
Do as
I've
she
realized
says,
that
not
it's-
as she does.
Exactly. And that is, don't be afraid of small talk. And I'm someone
Yeah.
who does kind of hate small talk, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like I was watching this YouTube video the other day. I can't remember exactly what her name. I think it's Jen M. She's quite a big YouTuber. But
Okay.
anyway, she was talking about how to be a better communicator or something like that, or how to make friends as an introvert or something like
Communication
that.
is
I can't
key.
remember. Yeah. And she just said, like, a lot of people hate small talk, but it's also how you find out if you're sort of compatible with a
Yeah,
person
you
or
don't
not.
walk into a conversation
know?
and be like, tell me your life story.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
usually it's
you can
like you'll
literally
find
ask
a point of
about-
interest. Like someone will make an
Exactly.
office reference and it's like, you watch The Office?
You watch The Office? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It can be podcasts, TV shows, pets.
If they listen to, in other words,
literally
then you've got a
anything.
friend, a good friend
Yeah.
for life.
Exactly. Exactly. So don't be afraid of that.
That's
and
very good
be
advice.
interested in other people as well. So
Yeah.
if someone's talking to you, actually like be interested in them, ask questions. Everyone
Yeah.
likes a person who people
Shows
are very
interest.
self-centered.
Yes.
You know, people are very self-centered. So I know when I'm talking to someone and they ask me a lot of questions, I go away from the conversation like, oh wow, like they're really nice, very friendly,
Yeah.
you know. Whereas if someone doesn't ask me anything at all, it's kind of like, oh well, I literally didn't talk in that conversation. So
Yeah. And friendships take
Yeah.
time.
they do take time. Yeah, it's not necessarily going to be this
Friend
spark,
at first
you know?
sight.
friend at first sight. Yeah. Did you have anything else to add about this?
No.
Oh, I had one last thing. And it might sound stupid, but like try not to make all of your friends like partying or whatever. I don't know, a lot of adults,
Yeah.
I don't know, like you might, a lot of times when you are socializing with people, it's when you're out somewhere or like if you're drinking or something, and you can make friends from that. Like we said, you have your fun
Yes.
friends or whatever, but they're not always going to be like
Yeah.
your friends. So
Yeah.
yeah, try to make friends in situations where you are not drinking or, you know, in your normal state of mind.
Ask people. I asked people. I was like, I'm trying to find people my age. Help me.
Yeah.
And
that's
they
cool.
did.
Yeah.
So you kind of
Very
have
helpful. Yes.
to. Okay. And then the last question.
Yeah, do you want to read it? I forgot. My internet's like been really dodgy the whole day on my phone.
I'm so
Not on my laptop
sorry.
though. I have no idea. Yeah.
I apologize. Okay, so it said the following. How do you tell someone they are not good for you anymore?
That's a big one. I think you just have to tell them. To be honest. Yeah.
So
You don't necessarily have to say it in those words. But anyway,
Yeah.
carry on.
So for me, I don't know if it's just like, I think there's a lot of danger in like, so someone said to me today that they had a friendship breakup, and that was quite like something to take in, because I don't know, there's something that it can come across very dramatic and attacking if someone says, I'm sorry, you're not good for me, I don't want to be your friend anymore. That can be like super hurtful. It kind of feels very like, that's what kids say to each other on the playground when they're little. Like, I don't want to be your friend anymore, you know? So, but I feel like at the same time, you do need to protect yourself, you know? And it's like, I think that when you move out of a friendship, it's important that you don't like harbor resentment. And your goal is not to pull that person down. You know, even if they've pulled you down, you know. And so I think it's important to communicate, but I wouldn't use the words like, I don't want to
You're
be
bad
your
for
friend
me.
anymore, you are a bad person.
Yeah.
And to be honest, and maybe this is just me being like a coward, but like, I think friendships can end and can die out just by spending less time with the person and responding to their messages a couple of days late. Although if I respond to
Ghosting them. Sheesh.
no, that's what I'm saying. It's not ghosting, because I respond to my friends like a few days later, but it doesn't mean that I don't love them. It's just that's how I feel about WhatsApp. But yeah, like I think that you can be tactful about how a friendship fizzles out. You're not like forced to see the person unless you work with them or something.
And I think you can say something like, "Oh,
you should make the
I feel
person
like we're drifting
aware of
apart."
your feelings.
Yeah, like we're drifting apart. I'm moving into a different phase of my life.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And like you can still recognize the importance that friendship
Yes.
has had in your life, you know?
Yeah. I think the
It's not like,
dangerous, the only
this one thing was
dangerous
bad, so
thing-
everything's bad.
Yeah, I think the only dangerous thing that I would caution against is just the whole idea of making it like a petty breakup kind of situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah, I think just be kind and be honest, and don't drag the person down, but be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. I think we are finished with that episode then.
So now you know how to
Yes.
be the best of friends.
Exactly. And how to make all the friends in the whole world so that you have like a million friends.
Yes, which is not going to vote well for you when you get married, but otherwise, fantastic. You do you.
Yes. Cool.
Cool.
Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you. We'll be your friends. Don't you worry.
Yes. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at @podcast.
Yes. If you're on
And-
YouTube, subscribe,
Like and subscribe.
comment. If you're on the other
And-
platforms, rate.
Give us a good rating.
Yes.
Please.
That would be
Not a bad
so
one
nice
because I'll
of
be
you.
so sad and I'll cry.
She will cry. Be a better friend.
Yes.
If you are a friend and you don't
Cool.
like this, we know that you aren't our friends.
Wow.
You're Janie Murray.
Red flag.
Okay, guys.
Okay. So what is our outro?
Oh, yes. Sharing is caring. So share this with everyone you've ever met. Ever.
I meant that. I feel like I have to say in other words somewhere. Anyway.
Oh, yes.
In
I
other
always
words,
forget that.
share. Yeah.
In other words, we'll
that's
be
the
better
name
next
of the
time.
podcast. Yes, we will. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.